Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the showdown between the Empire, who shall be led by the Archlector, and the High Elves, who are going to be helmed by Lithanar and his crazy-ass eyes. So as far as the build goes, we're going to be going very cav-heavy. In the center, we do have two Empire Knights, which are more of kind of a frontline supporting unit. What I typically do is use the Empire Knights behind my spears. I charge enemy spears, I pull back, and then I go up and around the flanks, and then pressure the back line. So the Empire front line state troops, they typically have trouble against like White Lions and things like that. So I think you need a little bit of support, and Empire Knights are a very flexible support unit. So I have two of those bad boys, but the main core of the army is going to be the Archlector, and this is one of my new favorite ways to play the Empire. So the Archlector, not only does he look extremely badass, he's dual wielding hammers, he's got a badass SIGMAR book on his back, but he does have some really good support buffs. So he does have the Grand Shield of Faith, which gives 22% damage resist. You stack it out with the Hammer of Sigmar for 26 melee attack. You run him with two groups of Demogryph Knights, and you have such a mean Death Star. So you get the Royal Turf Gryphites, given that melee attack buff, you're going to be buffing Demogryph Knights. On top of that, you drop Shield of Thorns with the Light Wizard. So the Jade Wizard, or not Light Wizard, Jade Wizard. The Jade Wizard has a couple really good buffs. So of course he has a standard healing, which if you're going to be using Demogryph Knights, I feel like you pretty much have to use this Lore of Magic. You have to heal them. It's just too cost effective. But on top of that, you have Shield of Thorns, which gives him 25% physical resist. On top of the 22 he's getting from the Archlector, plus 25% weapon damage. These guys just become lawnmowers. It is very, very powerful against Silver Helms, Dragon Princes, any sort of monstrous units. I mean, even against infantry, it makes them pretty damn powerful. So that's going to be the main core of our build. The rest of the army, we have two mortars. Mortars are very good against archer-centric builds. So if somebody's using Sisters of Averlorn or archers, or even against like spearmen and just like state troop level infantry. By state troop, I mean lightly armored, cheap, that kind of stuff. So mortars do a ton of damage there. We do also have one cannon. So I just wanted to respect the large units just in case he went a little bit hog wild, got like 3 Dragon Princes, or came in on like a Star Dragon or something. I wanted to make sure I had some tools. And nonetheless, the Great Cannon is going to be able to shoot at Lithanar. It can shoot at some of these armored infantry, and I believe he does have a High Mage on a Chariot, who's also going to be a pretty good target, and not to mention the Silver Helms. So that's pretty much my whole force. We do also have the silver bullets kind of mixed in here in the back. And yeah, that's it. So for my opponent's army, it's going to be a front line of spearmen, 2 bolt throwers, which are actually going to be a little bit tough. Bolt throwers are actually quite good against Demogryph Knights and cav units in general for their cost. But more importantly, they're very good at sniping artillery pieces. So if he just sits these 2 bolt throwers on top of my mortars or my cannons, he's going to be able to kill them relatively quickly. Bolt throwers and Reaper bolt throwers for the Dark Elves are pretty much specialist units at killing enemy artillery pieces. He does also have Lithanar, so his crazy ass eyes are going to be coming in with a huge bow, and he's going to be pretty decent against my cav units and just long range, 300 range right here. So he's going to be able to snipe my artillery if he wants to, shoot at Empire Knights, he could shoot at Demogryph Knights. And I believe he does have the Moonbow. I'm not sure. No, he does not. It looks like he just has the buffs. The secondary line is going to be White Lions, which are a good choice. They beat down spearmen, they beat down state troops, and they put up a great fight against greatswords for their cost, especially with a little bit of magic support. And White Lions, also another really good application of White Lions for anyone who's trying to learn High Elves. They're very good against cav-centric factions. And yes, they're going to be taking a charge, but their 90 armor helps them against a lot of shock cav. They have good AP, so yeah, they're just a well-rounded unit for sure. Couple archers in the back to just shoot my handgunners, things like that. So he's got 3 of those and 4 Silver Helms. So yeah, going pretty deep in the cav game here. So on that note, guys, let's get the show on the road and see if the Sons of Sigmar can take it to these High Elves. So we're going to be marching forward here. You can see the Spearmen getting up here. The Empire Knights are also going to be just waiting in kind of in between this formation. And yes, we're going to be doing a frontal charge, trying to pull him forward, at which point our Demogryph Knights can kind of pounce. So the Demis, I saw a pretty decent little angle here. I was like, we're going to go up and around here and try and collapse this whole flank with our Demogryph Knights. So it's a big, heavy overload. But first things first, we grab the Empire Knights, we push him right up the pipe against the Spearmen. It's going to pull some of his defensive units to kind of counter that and then open up the flank play for me. The mortars are going to be shooting at spearmen and archers, but you can see here the bolt thrower is getting huge value. So my opponent already in a really good position here. These mortars are going to be taking a ton of damage, and they're going to be offline in no time. So first, Demogryph Knight's going to be blitzing out onto the flanks of these Silver Helms, and you can see the other Silver Helms are going to be a little bit distracted by the frontal charge. So the Empire Knights came in, got a little bit of damage against spearmen, which is good because it occupies my opponent's attention. Silver Helms are going there, at which point I can kind of pounce on the flanks. So from here, Demogryph Knights are going to get a huge charge in the Silver Helms, and they're going to be tearing these guys up. Royal Turf Gryphites getting in there as well, and the Archlector is a little bit slow. He's riding the Fat Horse back here, so he's got 70 speed, which I feel like should be enough to keep up with these guys. But the Archlector is going to be coming in. We will be popping our buffs here in a moment, and these Silver Helms are just getting shreked by the Demogryph Knights. The Grand Hammer of Sigmar, it might be a little bit of overkill, but at this point I was like, I need to just punch through these guys and get to the back line. So we broke them down, we terrified them, and that just shows the power of that Death Star. It can be so damn good. So my opponent's going to be countercharging me here. So the Silver Helms and Spears and White Lines, all these guys are going to be coming in here. Lithanar is also going to be turning his sights. But we have the Shield of Thorns, we have Physical Resist, and we still haven't used the Grand Shield of Faith. So we have a lot of board save here. It's going to be very, very tough to break through these guys. So the fight's underway. Grand Hammer of Sigmar is still going, and yeah, we should be able to grind through most of these Silver Helms. Granted, he does have spears here, so I don't want to stay in combat for too long. Now in the center, the Empire Knights have gotten into the back line, so my opponent had to allocate most of his resources to my pressure over here. So that opened up a little bit of pressure here in the back. So these Empire Knights are going to be surging forward here, jumping on top of the Eagle Claw bolt throwers. We do get one group of Empire Knights over here, and Empire Knights are a great unit. Even though their stats kind of suck, they have 110 armor and like decent speed. I mean, it's pretty bad speed as far as cap go, but they are mobile and heavily armored, so it's pretty useful. So we do shut down that bolt thrower, and the Royal Elves of GRYPHITES and our other goon squad doing very well. The Archlector is able to buff him up with the help of that Jade Wizard, and we just shreked all those Silver Helms. So it's not a ton of damage coming in. However, the front line isn't as good. The Spearmen here are being beaten down by the White Lines here. Archers are going to be unloading on some of my troops, and the Silver Bolts are actually still fighting somehow. So I have a feeling he's probably going to be peeling off to deal with them because they've just been doing a ton of damage against these troops. But that's the thing. There's so much pressure in the back line that it's kind of a little bit of, it's a tough situation to allocate resources to the front line to deal with these type of threats. So if we look in the back, you can see my mortar. I believe one of them is completely destroyed, so he certainly got the advantage there. The Great Cannon's still here, and the mortar's still here, so we still have a lot of firepower in the back line, which is quite nice. Yeah, I've gotten into the archers as well. I believe they're terrified from the Royal Elves of GRYPHITES. It's really nice having a mobile terror-causing unit with the Empire. It's so damn helpful. And the Archlector is actually going to be going in for a duel, so he's going to be going to duel Lithanar. We have the classic battle here in the desert, and I'm going to be splitting my other forces off to keep harassing the back line and pushing about. And Archlector is pretty good. I mean, in terms of his defensive stats, he's got 30, 55, and 95 against, 67, 57, and 40. So the real advantage that the Archlector has, aside from punching this guy, which probably doesn't do damage, is the fact that the Archlector is very, very heavily armored. And Lithanar's melee attacks are not, they don't have good AP, and he's just being punted across the desert. So over in the back, Demogryph Knights and company, I'm just trying to clean up all the mobile pressure, not mobile pressure, but range pressure. I'm trying to get on the archers and other tools like that. I'm also rear charging in the back of the spears, trying to give my state troops a fighting chance here in the front line. But the Sons of Sigmar, they march forth, and we're just going to be chasing these archers through the desert. You can see the brave Demogryph Knights of Altdorf getting in there. Oh man, just giving them business. Brutal charge right there. But the bounce bar is actually normalizing a little bit, going back in the favor of my opponent. Archlector isn't able to do too much over here against the Lithanar. It was a bit of a mistake. I probably should have had him over here with my Gryphites. I feel like that's really where he shines, and I just got so excited to have this like epic duel in the desert, right, with the hammers just fighting against the Shadow King. I just thought it was pretty neat. So another big rear charge coming in here. We do sandwich the Spearmen between our state troops a little bit. In the back line of ours, I was just making sure there's no high elf stuff over here that we missed, but the Great Cannon is still going to be shooting. He still has his caster on the Chariot as well, so he has a little bit of stopping power there. He has archers, and it looks like he has gotten the bolt throwers back online. So good micro for my opponent here. I was pressuring those all game, and he kind of pulled them off, ran away, re-engaged. It's made it pretty tough for sure, and it looks like the Archlector is still going. Grand Shield of Faith has been popped, but since his fighting has started, he's literally done 0 damage against Lithanar. I mean, at the very least, it does shut down a lot of his ranged attacks while they are fighting, but it's been a pretty bad trade. Now, as I'm running, Lithanar is just going to go full anime and just shoot me in the back here with his bow, and yeah, it's going to be a little bit tricky. You can see the Archlector not having a good time with that. So right now, we're going to be splitting up our forces. So we do have the Jade Wizard and the Royal Elves of GRYPHITES who are going to be pounding on these archers right here, and the other ones are going to be falling back because my opponent was making a pretty good advance here into my back line. So you can see the Spearmen and the White Lines are just slowly making their way through, a full health group of Spearmen here. So the state troops are faltering, the Demogryph Knights are going to come in to help and try and save these silver bullets. So we're going to be just zipping back here, using these guys as a defensive sweeper tool, and going after the mage with high magic, hopefully getting some pretty good damage. The cannon shooting in as well, but unfortunately a little bit of friendly fire on my Demogryph Knights, which always sucks. But yeah, we're just going to be disengaging from a Lithanar here. It's not like really worth it, but we're just waiting for the Royal Elves of GRYPHITES to come in. From here, we should be able to goon them down pretty quick with all of the stopping power, or at the very least, we can sweep up and around. We can attack these Eagle Claw bolt throwers and these other tools. And if we can like kill all of these guys and then take advantage of the fact that we have the mobile advantage, run back to this part of the battlefield, Lithanar and these other troops, especially these White Lines, aren't going to be super useful. They're going to have a long trek to the side of the battlefield, which is going to be super important. Now the High Elves are still advancing. You can see the mage with the Chariot right here is going to be taking some cannons and some missiles to the face right here, and the Demogryph Knights are still going to be kind of chasing, but he's got a Spearman, he's got a lot of White Lines who are going to be just collapsing inward, and it's just getting even, just closer and closer as he just kind of surged in my back line. But yes, this is going to be a great grab. I'm force pathing these Demogryph Knights after this mage, just spam clicking with all of my might with my crippled, well, it's not arthritic, but my tendonitis ridden hand. And yes, we're going to be going after that high mage right there, and it looks like we are going to break it, and therefore we will be chasing it off the battlefield. Right here, we're able to get a good mobile jump here on top of the bolt throwers, so just trying to clean up using the advantage of mobility. The Archlector is going to be dropping some buffs here, and the mage, of course, still has some healing. I think the Jade Wizard had some winds of magic left, so doing a pretty good job cleaning up the back line. The High Elves still have Lithanar. They have a couple of archers, some White Lines, which are pretty much full health. Those will probably be one of the biggest issues. And you can see here they're getting pretty close to our cannons, and I don't really have enough troops to stop them. So the mortar crew, I think there's like one mortar left here. Yeah, just like one dilapidated. No, there's actually none. point. So these guys will probably just be engaging in melee at some point. But the other cannon crew is going to have to fall back because the High Elves do kind of surge forward. More spears are going to be getting in here, but it looks like they might break to some of the withering fire, but another group of spears as well. And the Brave State troops, though they fought their hearts out for Karl Franz and the Empire, unfortunately they're going to be getting overwhelmed and pushed back by the White Lions, who just have better gear. That's all. So here, the Archlector is going to be moving in with the Jade Wizard, and he also does have the Royal Altar of Gryphites. Very much like the cinematic of the Empire in Game 1 when like Karl Franz comes in for the rescue. This time it's going to be the Archlector, but you know, it's almost as heavy metal. The Archlector's got double hammers, and the Royal Altar of Gryphites are going to be coming in to rescue these state troops from the foul High Elves. And look at that charge, just leading the troops here, just so epic. Coming in with the hammers, you can see the Jade Wizard's going to be following up, and the Royal Altar of Gryphites are going to be slamming into these High Elf troops. The High Elf Spears do rush into position to try and brace for that, but I don't think they're going to be ready for the charge of Sigmar. So Fatarak charge coming in right there, and we do get pretty good work on them, and also the terror is going to be a big issue here. The White Lions, I do not believe are immune to psychology, so we're going to be able to terror out them as well. And anytime it's like a late game situation like this, if you have like even a couple Royal Altar of Gryphites, those guys are going to be so clutch. Now in the back line, we were able to kind of ditch these guys in the shadows, so you can see the White Lines back here aren't really going to be super useful. Gryphites are taking some fire from Lithanar, who's actually getting some decent damage and kills against them, but we're going to be just trying to clean up all the range tools just to kind of force him to come in, because Lithanar is pretty much out of ammo. And at this point, we're just going to be using the Royal Altar of Gryphites and company to try and clean up these Spearmen and some of these other troops right here. The Silver Bolts are going to be getting the benefit of the Grand Shield of Faith as well, so it's going to make us a little bit tanky, but no point in just kind of standing and fighting against spears with a cav unit. So we're going to be pulling back and forth, charging in there and waiting for our Spearmen and other troops to kind of come pin these guys in. I believe this was my mortar team who we end up sending into melee against these guys here in just a moment, but we're going to be charging back in. The Grand Shield of Faith is still active, and yeah, we get a pretty good charge there, just trying to break them down so I can get a mass terror out. I feel like that's all it's really going to take to break the game here. And Lithanar is officially out of ammo, so now we're just going to be ditching him on the other side of the desert, and we're just going to be charging downtown to finish off these archers with our Gryphites, or just Griffins, or just standard Griffins. And you can see here that the Spearmen and other troops aren't going to be able to hold up to the fury of Sigmar, as the Archlector does lead another fat charge. I don't know what his kills are, only 22 kills, not so great, but I mean, he's so cheap on the horseback with the kit I brought him with, so just Benediction for leadership plus the Hammer of Sigmar and the Shield of Faith. He only cost, I think, like 1,200 golds. Karl Franz, like fully equipped or with the main items you usually bring, costs like 2,400, so this is a pretty good little compromise here. I mean, I think it was good. It allowed me to go very wide and bring a lot of tools, so I like this build quite a bit. And yeah, he's very tough to kill. I mean, he's got 95 armor on this mount. You can put him up to 120 if you want, but then he's not as good riding with Cav because he's much slower on the heavily armored horse, but yeah, well played to my opponent. It was a fierce cockfight for sure. I think some of the big things were the flank overload, going in with the Demogryph Knights on the far side, catching those Silver Helms in a big pit fight, and from there we opened up the center for the Empire Knights to kind of squeeze in and shut down the Bolt Throwers, which, had the Bolt Throwers fired for a longer period of time, they might have been able to kill more Demogryph Knights, gone after some better targets, maybe killed another artillery piece. Who knows? So I think that was really kind of the clutch moment in the game. Granted, it ended up being really close, despite the fact that I got some pretty early advantages. He almost fought his way back and almost got that game back, so just a true testament to his skill over there. But yeah, I do like the Archlector and the Demogryph Knight Goon Squad. It's pretty good. Mortars, if they go with Sisters or Archers, it's pretty much a must. It's very hard to deal with them otherwise. The Cannon, I think, is good as well. I mean, and because you're going to be so mobile and pressuring with things, you don't really have to worry too much about the Cannon. And if they do spam, like, not Silver Helms, but let's say Reavers, and are trying to get into your back line, you just use the Empire Knights to protect your artillery, and it usually works pretty well. And yeah, as far as his build goes, I do like a Lithanar. I think a Lithanar can be pretty annoying against the Empire. It's good at shooting at Lords. He just kind of sits there. He's dirt cheap, allows you to go wide. I like the White Lions and the Archers as well, and honestly, it was a solid build for sure. Like, it could have gone either way. Just a couple little, decisions in terms of the battlefield really dictated the outcome there, which was fun. So again, well played to my opponent, El Halcón. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Empire vs. High Elf showdown, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.